A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining our Homeopathy 24/7 podcast. We are going to be speaking to an array of international guests who will share their knowledge and experiences of homeopathy with you. We will discuss all types of subjects such as remedies, symptoms, and stories of health. No matter where you are with your homeopathic journey, we aim to inspire you on your quest to natural health and living. The podcast is brought to you by Mary Greensmith, the founder of Homeopathy 24/7, which is a global platform connecting you with a homeopath wherever you are in the world, 24 hours a day. So let's get started with today's chat. Please welcome Mary Greensmith.
Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm really pleased to be able to welcome back Elisa Jolfaya. Nice to see you, Elisa. How are you doing?
Nice. Thanks for having me, Mary.
How's the weather over there at the moment? Are you in some...
It's summer. It's about 100 degrees Celsius here. I mean, Fahrenheit here. Sorry. I forgot which one is.
You're in Fahrenheit. So really hot, really hot. We can't really complain here in the UK. But I'm really excited today because we are going to have a real deep dive into the remedy Lycopodium. Tell me why you chose Lycopodium.
Well, I really like Lycopodium because it's one of those remedies you don't always think of, first of all, for first aid. Like when I think first aid, my first thought is like belladonna, arnica, aconite. But it's surprising how often Lycopodium often is something I will go to for first aid. It's in certain situations, but it's also a very deep acting remedy that I also see a lot in my clients. So it's one of those remedies where like it's sort of cool. I use it a lot both ways.
Yeah, it's a big remedy, isn't it? It's a big remedy. It's got so many aspects to it. And we would usually associate Lycopodium with the digestive system. So shall we start there?
That's a good place to start because that's the first place I go when I think of Lycopodium.
It is. So what sort of things do we see with the remedy?
My biggest thing that comes up is that when someone has or a family member comes to me and it's like, oh, my stomach hurts and there's like bloating or their stomach is just upset. This is a remedy that first comes to my mind. The thing though that makes it very Lycopodium is if they're holding their right side or they're complaining it's on their right side, the pain.
Mm-hmm.
Lycopodium is remedies tend to have sides affinity. So like different remedies are stronger attached to a side than another. And Lycopodium is very strongly right side. And it also can be, let's know those also those remedies that if pain starts on the right side and moves to the left side, it's still a Lycopodium.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So, of course, the digestive system really covers quite a lot of the body, doesn't it? We're starting with the throat and the esophagus and then down the stomach and then down, down through all the abdominal areas. So we can soon see how it can be either side as well, but also going down as far as the kidneys as well.
Yep, that's for sure. I've definitely seen it like with the liver and different complaints can go in with it, but definitely, I would definitely say main digestive throat, like you were saying. Like I've used it in some colds, like where you have throat pain, where starts on the right side and then it moves to the left. And then there's swelling or other things, digestive things going on. Lycopodium often does a beautiful job.
Yeah, and I often use Lycopodium alongside a bowel nosode or something like that, just to reset the gut, because quite often we have gut complaints that are associated with anxiety. So one person really springs to mind, a young girl who always used to develop stomachache when they sat down to have a meal if the father was present. And it didn't happen, when it was just mum and daughter, but it was a habit. It was a real big, every evening she had to go and lie down on the settee halfway through the meal. So it is very much associated with anxiety and digestion, isn't it?
Yes. I don't know if I would give like a lycopodium if there wasn't some aspect of like low confidence
Uh-huh.
or anxiety in the picture. Because if it wasn't there, I might tend to give more like a Nux vomica for like a stomach issue because Nux vomica is just full of themselves, whereas like lycopodium, they may seem full of themselves, but there's this underlying current that they're not confident.
That's a really good point. Let's go over the differential emotional sides, the differences between Lycopodium and Nux vomica, because as you say, they both have the digestion issues, but the personalities are very different. So let's start with the Lycopodium person then. How would we recognize them?
I see them. There's like two sides of them. They're very irritable. They can be super angry, but there's this indecision. Like they don't always know what they're doing. They can present themselves really well, but then they get this anxiety. Sometimes you see it before like big events, before public speaking. There could be a little fearful, nervous, but then you would never guess it because they go put on a front and they're like, we can do this. They tend to, sometimes they have this, they alternate states where they get really happy or they get like sad and melancholy and need something to perk them up.
Okay, so we've got like a confident front, but an anxious interior. So I always think of this like in when you see it with animals, with dogs, for instance, that go up to another dog and they're quite, you know, confrontational. But then as soon as the dog notices them, oh my goodness, they just run out the door. And we see that a lot with children, don't we? We see children want to be bossy, but really it's because, you know, they're nervous and you know, they have a confident front, but then they run and hide behind your leg. We see that so much, don't we?
We do. And I feel like also in children, sometimes it's easier to recognize the light of like a podium. It's not as it's not like adults, like we are good at like becoming socially acceptable, but also the like when the children, especially like them, they're very full of themselves. They feel like they like being the center of attention in a lot of ways,
Uh-huh.
and they're very like can be very demanding, but at the same time they're like they also have this fear of failure. Like I've seen it like they're really scared to fail and they will do whatever it takes to like they want to be the best. But they're not as driven. So as Nux vomica, they're more the drivenness and the drive, whereas Lycopodium is more like, eh, well, we want to be the best,
Yes.
but there's often like reading issues. Like often I see a lot with, I think almost with every Lycopodium or every person I've met, I'm like, oh, they're a Lycopodium. There's some sort of reading issue. Either it's dyslexia, they have trouble recalling words. There's something with words that can be a little bit tricky also in the Lycopodium picture.
You're absolutely right. It's one of the top remedies with dyslexia, isn't it? Um, and and often people haven't got a diagnosis of dyslexia, but we know that there is the fear of failure when it comes to reading. You're absolutely right. So let's compare that with Nux vomica then, because you're quite right in saying that, okay, Nux vomica is a confident person, but they are driven to work, aren't they? Whereas the Lycopodium, not quite so much driven.
No, Nux vomica, they're very intense personalities. Like Lycopodium, I feel like they get irritable or they get excited and they're super intense, but then it like dies down and they're more laid back, easy go, like they're happy to be around you. Whereas Nux vomica, they're very intense, very driven. I know that because one of my family members is a Lycopodium, the other one's a Nux vomica.
Uh,
So I'm gonna see him played out in real life.
yes, yeah, you do. It's like build us that picture. Give us some examples of how your different family members are like a podium or Nux vomica.
Well, so you want me to start with the Lycopodium?
Yes, go for it.
Okay. So the Lycopodium, They're usually like I like calling them. They're really like they're sweet. They have this not teddy bear, but they're really sweet people. But they have sometimes this front where they have to be like. I see this a lot. I don't know why lycopodium tends to be more like a male remedy, but I see this a lot with guys that have this front, but then inside they're just this soft, sweet sweethearts. Like that,
Uh,
they're just so sweet. But you never would guess when you first meet them, like because they put this front on, and they have to be this person who can't fail, who's not touchable. But then once you get to know them and you see their mood or like they get sad, you know they're a great person. And definitely there's like a type of mood swing. There's a desire. They are driven in some ways. They don't want to fail. Like fear of failure is probably the biggest thing that drives them. And it helps them push through like the dyslexia or push through this troubles reading because they don't want to be a failure. So they'll often will find creative ways to avoid
yeah, yeah,
weak
yes,
weak things. Which the next Vomica, I feel like they're very like impatient is the word. They want it done and they want it done now. And even if it's not done totally right, it doesn't matter. They just need it done.
yes, yeah,
And they'll push through it.
yes.
Next Vomica also has trouble with concentration, but I find it's more with numbers than with reading. It's very interesting.
That's
Like I've given them a little more with like math related or math issues, whereas lycopodium is definitely more reading. Next Vomica, I've seen more with math. And they have difficulty concentrating, but they're driven. They want to be the best. They want to do the best things. They may have some anxiety around not being the best or not being busy enough or not doing enough. And they also have that angry impatience but yeah, it's very like work or productivity driven, whereas lycopodium is very fear driven. That's the biggest thing I would see.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, and we see it just so clearly, don't we, with people, and the way that they talk, even how they're interacting with other people and how they are communicating and like you say, having that time out. Because of course a Nux Vomica person, their time out is usually ultra busy as well, isn't it? You know, they want to be doing physical stuff. They want to be just doing.
Gone on
Well,
vacation, they book everything, they plan it fuller than regular life.
yes, because they can't bear the thought of missing something whilst they're there. Whereas a lycopodium would be much more easygoing. And yeah, although sometimes they need to be quite authoritarian, perhaps they both do actually. They both need to be in charge, don't they? But a lycopodium is much more likely to back down. And if you are more dominant.
Absolutely.
So tell us about a few of the reasons you might use a lycopodium in acute situations.
Ooh, okay. I would definitely use it in bloating. So after a meal,
Okay.
lycopodium is especially a dinner time, like late afternoon dinner time. So like if after dinner, my family was complaining like, oh, my stomach, it's just so full, it hurts. Lycopodium is one I would give because it's best for after dinner. If they had a lot of starchy or sweet food or sometimes even fatty food, that also I would definitely think lycopodium. They're better with passing gas. So if there's a lot of gas in the picture, like colicky babies, like I believe I've given this to my nephew, and he ate something that didn't agree, and he just had this terrible colic for a while, and that just lycopodium really helped his body reset and to feel better. They're also better with motion and open air. So like if they're not feeling good and they go outside and pull some weeds, they come in much better.
Okay.
Whereas it's interesting because Nux Vomica is better from rest and warmth and taking a break. Whereas lycopodium, if they move, they're better than if they just sit and lay around.
Yeah. And lycopodium has got the 4 o'clock to 8, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. time gap. Tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, so most homeopathic remedies have like a time period where it's like vary them, like arsenicum album, like midnight to like 1. Like if they wake up, that's an arsenicum.
Yeah.
Well, lycopodium's the same way. So if we see recurring stomach pain or the stomach pain always hits between 4 and 8, then right away to me that's like ding, lycopodium is the right remedy. Because there's like Mary said, there's like a lot of remedies we can use for stomach pain. I'm sure if we pulled up the repertoire and looked at rubric stomach pain, there's like sure 100 that we
Yeah.
could use.
Yeah.
So helping narrow it down
Yeah.
to what it is, that's a really key part of lycopodium is the timing. So if someone only has stomach pain in the morning, I don't know if I would give them lycopodium. It doesn't really fit the picture. I'd be looking into different remedies.
Yeah.
Whereas like if it's always like in this afternoon, evening,
Period.
and lycopodium is
Uh,
fine.
Lycopodium has got all symptoms worse late afternoon. So whatever it is just worse at that time. So we could be talking about some other physical symptom or emotional symptom that is always worse at that time. And of course, we need to know what's going on at that time because it is a transitional time, isn't it? It's coming home from school, it's coming home from work, it's putting the kids to bed. It's a huge time in anybody's life. So what is actually going on there? We can get so much information about that 4 to 8 p.m. time zone. But lycopodium will never leave your mind. Once you know this 4 p.m., you've always got it. You can't unlearn it, can you?
No, it's for sure. You definitely. And another thing that's interesting with lycopodium is even though they have stomach pain, they may still want to eat. They still have this big appetite 'cause they sometimes think that eating will make them feel better. Whereas I've noticed like with Nexvomic, usually they have the pain because they've eaten too much and they're like, we don't want any more. Whereas lycopodium, they want more. They have a big appetite.
Yes, that's a really good point, actually. And when I think about a lot of people that have lycopodium, they have insatiable appetite that it's just better for eating. I feel nervous, so I need to eat, sort of thing. That's a really good point, actually. And of course, lycopodium has got a lot of other aspects in the picture. You've mentioned the nasal and the mucus and things. And it's also got skin, hasn't it? It's got a lot of skin elements to it.
I believe so. I think it's also the remedy like you use for right-sided eczema. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I haven't used it as much for skin. It's more like for throat and
Okay.
digestions, but it definitely will work for it. And I've also seen it used with facial tics. So if there's any like tics that are going on, lycopodium is also on that, especially with the face when they're sucking or licking or whistling, and it's really um that's also like a lycopodium thing as well.
Let's talk for a moment about the concentration because that ties in quite nicely with tics. In fact, what I'm finding the more I talk about do these remedy podcasts, is that everything we talk about is so related, isn't it? One thing leads on to the next thing, leads on to the next thing. And concentration is a really big thing for lycopodium.
It is. Like I would say for lycopodium, it's one of the remedies where concentration is really, really hard. So
Mm.
like if you have eczema in the picture and a lack of concentration, like it's just like usually with lycopodium, I look for two factors. Like we need to have something in this, so like either lack of confidence, trouble reading, or eczema right-sided and different things like that. But it's they struggle to concentrate. They have to try so hard. And even then, it doesn't always work.
No, no, no. And then, of course, we've got that fear of failure. So we've got that never-ending anxiety band, haven't we? But I think
Yes.
what you're actually saying about matching 2 or 3 elements have to match the picture to find the remedy. That's a really good rule that people should be taking away from this when looking at remedies, isn't it? It's not just about the physical symptoms. We need to match that emotional state as well. So it's putting it all together.
Exactly. Like in homeopathy, like we call it looking for keynote or like strong presenting symptoms. Well, especially like in first aid, when you're unsure, I like thinking, what are the three top symptoms they're experiencing? And let's find the match. So if we have the stomach pain, it's on the right side. It needs to be very specific though. In homeopathy, like, we have to be very, can't just say stomach pain. Well, is it up? Is it down? Like, where is it? Like, we need to be really specific. Like, so say it's right side, it's stomach pain. They've just had maybe at work, they failed yesterday. It didn't work very well, or at school, they got a bad grade.
Yeah.
And then we have this, it's worse. It all started at 6 o'clock, which falls within the 4 and 8 p.m. time zone. You want at least three things so that you're really strong, and you want them different. You don't want them the same, like stomach pain, stomach pain, stomach pain. No, you want like, it's good to have a mental, you want a physical, and then if you could get a different physical, it'll help you choose the right remedy.
Or that modality, so the time of day, the right-sidedness. And when I think of lycopodium children as well, they're the type of child that is clinging to the leg quite often, aren't they? They're whiners, they're groaners, they're not screamers, they're whiners. They're
But they're definitely vocal.
They're very
there.
vocal. There's always going to be noise, isn't there? But, like you said, when you described, the person, they're hard on the outside and soft and gentle on the inside. I think that was such a lovely way to describe it.
Yes, and they don't have a shell, because like with other remedies, we'll see like a definite shell you have to break through. With lycopodium, it's more of a front, and it's just who they are. It's not like the shell we see in like nat mir or even calcarb where they're like they can make a firm. This is different. It's just a front. Who they are, but then as you get to know them, you just see it right away. There's no there's nothing you have to break through.
No, that's absolutely right. And because they yes, I want to do this, I'm not so sure. And it just comes, yes, it's just that nervousness, lack of self-confidence, maybe needs more confidence. Perhaps we could work it as. So what do you think you'd like, the one thing that you'd like our listeners to take away from this episode? Finding out, curiosity, perhaps finding out more about lycopodium.
That's a really good question. I would definitely add it to their first aid kit, because it's one of those remedies that comes up and you're like, what, I actually need it? I would definitely give it a shot, because sometimes it doesn't shine as much as these other remedies that we hear a lot about. But it's a really good one. And if you have a family member that you think you've listening to this and you're thinking, I think they're lycopodium, know that if lycopodium works for them, lycopodium is one of those, if there's a person, if their constitution is lycopodium, that's a remedy you can give them over and over, and it will like help every single time. I find especially with lycopodiums, this is true. I don't know why, but it works really, really, really well. I don't know if that quite answered your question, Mary, but
that's a really good point, because you're right. The people that I have given lycopodium to just have it as a go-to whenever something is going wrong. And not all remedies are like that. Quite often you will have a constitutional remedy, but you don't actually need it. You're going along quite happily. And if something happens, you need something for that trauma that's just happened. And, it might be many years before you actually need it. But you're right, with lycopodium, it is a remedy that quite often we see, okay, look, this fits, this fits, this fits, this fits, because it's a polycrest remedy. It's got the huge picture anyway, but it's going to help with your emotional and your physical symptoms. And if you need, it's just lovely. It makes you feel good inside, doesn't it? Maybe it makes you feel that little bit more confident that we need inside, both physical and emotional.
Absolutely. I would definitely agree. So if you find a family member, just really, you give it an acute situation and they really like lycopodium, definitely put it in your mind, because often with lycopodiums, they go back to the same remedy and they like using it over and over again in different situations. And it's often just what they need, or it clearly points to the next remedy that is needed, which I think is a beautiful, and I see that with some remedies, but it's very, very strong in lycopodium.
You're right. It is. It's like a starter remedy. It opens up the picture, isn't it? I
It
think
really
what
does.
I would like people to take away from today is the right-sidedness and the 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Because if people can start being more aware of that, they will start noticing much more depth about the symptoms that they're looking at. It's been lovely talking to you, Elisa. Thank you so much for coming in and joining me.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Let's do it again sometime. See you soon. Thank you, Elisa, so much for coming in and talking to us about Lycopodium. It's been such a fantastic discussion, and I'm sure that everybody will have learnt and taken away something really important. Now, next week, I'm going to be talking to Jessica DiBarco, and we are going to be discussing the remedy Cinna. I really look forward to seeing you then. Take care. I do hope you've enjoyed these episodes, and I do hope you can subscribe to our channels. Now, there are various ways for you to listen to our podcast or watch it on video on YouTube. So whether it's iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube, please do subscribe and please do leave us a review. If you leave us a review on these platforms, then more people will see our podcast. We just want more people to share the joy of homeopathy. It's a choice that everybody should know about. Please do everything you can to help us help more people.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to listening to our next one. Please don't forget to follow our podcast on your chosen channel, and please do leave us a review so we can continue to share homeopathy with as many people as possible. If you do have any questions, please do reach out to us on any of our social platforms mentioned in the show notes. We at Homeopathy 24/7 hope to empower you on your natural health journey.